So there's a distinction between national security and criminal cases. And in this instance, it seems to be from the public reporting and the Attorney General's conduct that this is going on pursuant to a national security investigation, which takes it out of the criminal division and into the national security division where I used to work. And the receipts that are now becoming publicly available show vague descriptions of things because the government is likely going to come in and say some of the stuff was classified, but it doesn't seem to be the case when Donald Trump issued sweeping declassification orders on multiple occasions, both as president on multiple times. So that's going to be a distinction that we need to watch for, and it's incumbent upon the government, the DOJ, to tell us what happened.
Okay, so you just touched on something that I want to dig into here with you, which is the declassification process and what your position was at the time and whether or not you were involved, because we know there's a procedure that has to take place. The president can't just, sort of wave over a bunch of boxes and say this is all declassified. Can you take us through the process where these documents were declassified by this president?
Yeah, so the normal process, and I was the deputy, there's multiple occasions, but I think I was serving as deputy director of national intelligence. If we needed to declassify through the normal chain of command for lower level employees, we'd have to go through a rigorous process to do that procedurally. But the president of the United States is and always been the ultimate unilateral classification authority to classify and declassify. If he says something is declassified, that's it. Then it's declassified. He issued a strong statement in October 2020 declassifying all Russiagate and all Hillary Clinton documents, and that's up on, publicly available. And then at the end of his administration in December and January, he felt so much more information needed to be classified. He declassified whole sets of documents that should have come out. Now, the GSA has since come out, the Government Service Administration, said they mistakenly packed some boxes and moved them to Mar-a-Lago. That's not on the president. That's on the National Archives to sort that material out. They cannot prosecute him for intentionally, even if it was classified, which is highly unlikely since he issued these sweeping orders, like we went through with the Hillary Clinton saga. They'll never meet the burden of intent because the president didn't pack it up and take it himself. The GSA has said they did it and they made a mistake. And that should have been really the end of it. It should have been a cordial subpoena where, at most, where they said, okay, we just need this and we'll get the rest back to you. I mean, President Obama and President Clinton still have classified materials in their possession in their homes that they have not released to this day per the National Archives.
So are you saying that these particular documents that were at Mar-a-Lago were all declassified in that December-January period of what year?
I'm saying, the end of 2020 and early 2021, before the president left. Right. I'm saying whole sets of documents were. I don't know what was shipped down there because I wasn't the GSA people moving those documents. Only they do. They packed them. They admitted that they packed them, which is their job, and transported them there and stored them somewhere. So the GSA can provide a lot more clarity to us on how and what was moved, and the GSA could have worked with the Department of Justice. That would have been my move as a national security prosecutor who brought terrorism cases all the time. This is an extreme national security measure taken for what seems to be a wholly unnecessary national security approach.
All right, so you're saying the GSA packed these boxes. They've already admitted that they sent some of them there in error. So then when in June, when they went in with the subpoena and they collected the boxes, apparently then, according to one line of this story, somebody said, no, there's actually more here, and you need to come back for what is here because it shouldn't be here. Do you think that is what happened? Do you think, and the Secret Service individual was involved in that? Is one of the storylines that we're pursuing?
Yeah, I don't know who that individual is, but I think it was clear from President Trump's statements that I believe he's put out on Truth Social that he invited whoever was there in June or whatever date we're talking about to look and have whatever they want and come back, and I'm paraphrasing, to see whatever they needed. So if that was the case, which it seems to be because the DOJ has not controverted that statement, then they could have come back because there's a voluntary cooperation. I don't know. I don't have any details outside of media reporting in terms of that incident.
Yeah.
But again, it seems to be, there's a different way to treat people regarding classified information if your name's Hillary Clinton or James Comey versus if your name is Donald Trump. And it's just not the even-handed way to do it. It's not how we used to do it at the Department of Justice.
So do you know if there was interaction between the former President Trump and these investigators after that June 3rd, when he came in and said, hey, let me know if you need anything, we're here to cooperate. Were there subsequent attempts? Excuse me, Mr. President, we need to get those boxes. Please send them by this date. Were there efforts out there to have these things retrieved in a much more less intrusive manner?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I wasn't a witness to any of that or part of those, conversations. But who could clear it up really fast? The Department of Justice, by saying we tried on this date and this date and this date, because they're going to have the documentation. They had FBI agents with them. And the GSA would have been there with them because they're responsible for the custodians of the document movement. They have records as well. These aren't classified records. They could put them out. They could put them out overnight if they want. They could put out the underlying information in the warrant if they wanted. But they're choosing not to. And for the Attorney General to come in heavy-handed last night and say, I personally signed off on the warrant, that's not the role of the Attorney General to tell the American public that. We know that. The role of the Attorney General is to tell us why. In this case, was it so necessary? And that gets me to the point of this whole conversation about nuclear information. Okay, let's just say that's the case. They waited 2 years to go seize this information, and if they get away with the 2-year mark, how about the warrant was issued on Friday and they executed on Monday? So it was so sensitive they took the weekend off. I, as a national security prosecutor, would get these warrants and execute them the next minute. And I think you'll find every national security prosecutor will tell you the same.